Have you heard stories of plus-size travelers being ridiculed, humiliated, or even removed from flights because of their size? It's a common fear among the plus-size community, and it's absolutely unacceptable. Join my petition calling on the FAA to require all airlines to have a written official customer of size policy for plus-size travelers.
Hello YouTube, and welcome to the Body Honesty Project. My name is Lydia, and today we are talking all about plus-size travel. Now, this has been a hot topic as of late because people are finally getting out of their homes and starting to travel once again. And rather than the population slimming down after this global pandemic, because obesity does increase your risk to certain diseases, the population seems to have fattened up rather than slimmed down. And as such, there's a whole lot of social media posts about the unfair and discriminatory treatment of fat people while traveling. There has been so much conversation around this that there are even petitions against airlines to change their policies and procedures regarding plus-size travelers. But before I offer my 2 cents, I think that we need to watch the TikToks in their entirety. So let's jump right on in.
Have you heard stories of plus-size travelers being ridiculed, humiliated, or even removed from flights because of their size? It's a common fear among the plus-size community, and it's absolutely unacceptable. Join my petition calling on the FAA to require all airlines to have a written official customer of size policy for plus-size travelers. This policy will provide accessible additional seats, clear communication, reimbursement, accommodations, and employee training. As my petition states, all plus-size passengers should be provided with an additional seat or 2 or 3 depending on their size and need during a flight for comfort. Under this policy, airlines should also offer a straightforward refund process for those who are buying additional seats independently. Under this policy, employees must be trained to handle sensitive situations and provide appropriate customer service. Sign this petition to demand that airlines take concrete steps towards making air travel more inclusive and accommodating for all passengers. Let's ensure that everybody can fly comfortable without fear of discrimination. Sign my petition now. Link in bio. So you want to hear my hot take on plus-size travel and why I think every plus-size traveler should get a free second and even third seat on an airplane? Then you better keep watching and sign my petition to make some real change. Let's just state facts. Plus-size travelers need more space. And many people agree that plane seats are too small, even for the average size person. As a plus-size traveler myself, I know how uncomfortable and unsafe it can be to squeeze into a tiny airplane seat. We are not asking for special treatment or luxury accommodations. We simply want enough space to travel comfortably and safely without fear of being discriminated against because of our size. It's truly that simple. If you agree that every traveler deserves to fly comfortably and without fear of discrimination, then go ahead and please sign my petition and share it with everybody that you know. Let's work together to make air travel more inclusive and accommodating for everyone.
Let's start off by discussing comfort. Now, first of all, nobody is comfortable on an airplane. Those seats just are not comfortable. But if you want to be more comfortable, you can pay for that. There are different prices for better seats. If you need more room, you can fly Economy Plus, get a seat in an exit lane, or upgrade your ticket to business or first class. Now, of course, there is a premium to pay for these upgrades, but if you really do need the extra space, you can be accommodated. And if you need 2 seats instead of 1, I am sure the airline will be very happy to sell you a second one. Flying is not a human right. Just because you want to fly doesn't mean you can fly. Flying on a plane is a paid-for service. And if you can't afford the 2 seats that you need, guess what? You don't get to fly. There are a lot of poor people that cannot afford 1 ticket. So if those people can't afford 1 ticket to get to where they want to go, why should you get a second ticket for free? Now let's talk about safety. Fat people will talk about how the airplane seats are not made for them. And that is true. And they worry about their safety on the plane because the seatbelts don't fit. And if there was an accident, they could get hurt very badly. But what about all the people that are sitting around them? How safe are they? I looked it up, and the size of the crash test dummies that airlines use is 167 pounds, which is supposed to represent the average person. But we know that there are people that are 2 and 3 times that size that board airplanes. So how safe is it for them? And how safe is it for the people around them? Because if you double or triple the amount of weight that restraints have been tested against, I am sure heavy bodies would blow right through them and into the people around them. I know that when I get on a plane and there is someone very obese sitting in front of me, or even worse, in front of one of my children, I worry that some intense turbulence is going to knock them right back into me or into my children. And that's scary as heck. For every obese person that does not properly fit into their seat on the airplane, they endanger the people beside them and the people in front and behind them. So accommodating one person actually puts 8 people at risk. And is someone's hurt feelings really worth that? If a 300-pound person crushed my 2-year-old, should I just say, oh, it's okay, the seat just wasn't built for you? Or should I say, you should never have been in that seat in the first place? Accommodating one person's request and jeopardizing everyone else's safety is not exactly fair. The other thing to note is in these crash tests, they assume that the passenger is in a particular position. All the dummies have a straight back, their feet on the floor, and their hands on their laps. But if you are sitting beside an obese person, your posture is more likely like this or like this. So how safe is it exactly for you to fly the entire time in an awkward, twisted position, and then if you hit turbulence, you're going to be jolted back and forth and against the window in this weird kind of contortion? It's not exactly safe now, is it? Next, we get into the argument of discrimination. How is it discrimination if you get the same thing as everybody else? You buy a ticket, you get a seat. I buy a ticket, I get a seat. So why should you buy one ticket and get 2 seats? That doesn't seem very fair. And if we want to use the angle that some people just need more and it's equity, then we should also consider the situations where people need less. Airlines have a rule that as soon as your child turns 2, you need to buy 2 tickets. But how many 2-year-olds fill their whole seat? I can go on a trip with a 1-year-old and buy 1 seat on the way down. And if they turn 2 before we fly back, I have to buy 2 seats for the return. But they didn't grow exponentially in that time. They don't actually need their own seat, but the airlines force you to buy that seat. In fact, I would say that all the way up until my kids were about 5, I probably could have fit a child in between me and my husband. That's right, I could have 3 people sit within 2 seats. But the airline doesn't allow you to do that. I would say that me plus 2 kids could also fit in 2 seats. That's right, 1 adult and 2 kids, or 2 adults and 1 kid spanning 2 seats. But the airline will still charge me for 3. If I get charged for space that I don't use, you certainly should be charged for the space that you do. I also feel that there's luggage discrimination. Because when our suitcases are weighed, we are told that it's because of fuel consumption, and that the heavier the suitcase is, the more weight on the plane, and thus consumes more fuel. But I, as a small person, don't consume a lot of fuel. So the delta between me and an average-sized person is about 50 pounds. By that logic, I should be allowed to bring 50 more pounds of shoes. I propose that when we go to check in, the passenger steps on the scale with their luggage, and there's a total weight allotment allowed per person. It's up to you how you distribute that. For me, it'll be smaller body mass and a whole lot more luggage. For others, it would be more body mass and less luggage. But if they buy 2 seats, they get the allotment for 2 people plus 2 people's worth of luggage. So am I being mean, or am I trying to be fair? I was inspired to make this video because of Alan Roberts, because he has quite the stance on this.
So I need a very, very, very good lawyer. And for those of you that are mentally celebrating right now, thinking that that means I'm in trouble or I'm getting arrested, sorry to burst your bubble, not that I know of, at least not yet. But I am looking for an extremely good lawyer to file a class action suit against all of the airlines on behalf of anybody that has been sat next to a morbidly obese person, as I am arguing that that is in fact fraud and endangerment. Follow along with me. How it is fraud. When you purchase an airline ticket, especially in today's world, you purchase the ticket, but then you purchase your seat. Most airlines have you purchase the ticket, and then when you go to pick your seating options, you pay extra for that seat. You are renting that seat. When the airline then knowingly sits a person that does not fit in their own seat and is going to use up your space, they are in fact charging you for something that they are not delivering to you. You are renting that space, and they knowingly are making it so you cannot have that space. That is fraud.
And you know what? I agree with them. It may not be nice to vocalize these things, but it's honest and it's true. There was a clip a little while back that went viral about a woman complaining about being seated between two obese people.
How far would you go if you were uncomfortable in the middle seat of a flight? Ooh. A woman on a 3-hour American Airlines flight is going viral after complaining she was wedged between two people. Her tweet
That's how
reads,
the middle seat works.
I know that's how it works. I am currently literally wedged between two obese people on my flight. This is absolutely not acceptable or okay. If fat people want to be fat, fine. But it is something else entirely when I'm stuck between you with your arm rolls on my body for 3 hours. I didn't say this again. The woman on the plane did. Obviously, the tweet attracted people from both sides. Some saying she was justified, others saying that was unnecessary and mean. American Airlines did respond saying, quote, "Our passengers come in all different sizes and shapes. We're sorry you were uncomfortable on your flight."
And she was yelled at by the other passengers for being so rude and being so mean. And you know what? Maybe she was. But was she wrong? She wasn't comfortable where she was seated, nor was she safe. Plus, the entitlement of those two obese people that wouldn't even sit beside each other because they wanted an empty seat between them, or be occupied by someone smaller that wouldn't take up as much space. Who's being entitled here? The woman that wanted to have the seat that she paid for? Or the obese people that were infringing upon it and then yelling at her for being rude? If I had to design airplane seats, I'd make them one long bench. So the rows that have 3 seats would be a bench where you could sit 1, 2, 3, or 4 people, depending on how big you are. That way, a family of 4, so 2 adults with 2 small children, could just buy that one row rather than having to buy 4 seats. And obese people could be 1 or 2 across rather than needing to stuff a third person in that row. Or you can offset the prices by rearranging your party. Maybe put a child beside your obese aunt so that you occupy the space of 2 people, but really it's your aunt taking up the space of 1.5 and your child taking up the space of half a person. I'm no engineer, and I don't know if this bench model is possible or not, but I think that if we are going to make accommodations for larger people, we should also have benefits and price reductions for smaller people. What do you think? Am I being mean? Or is this fair and safe for everyone? I have no problems with giving equity when equity is needed. But flying is not a human right. It is a paid-for service. And accommodating one group of people while endangering a whole group of others is not fair or responsible. So, if you are a fat person who is making travel demands, how important is it for me to fly? And how much am I endangering the other people around me to get accommodated so I can fly? That might sound harsh, but it's some harsh honesty. And I think we could all use some of that. So until next time, stay body positive, but also body honest.